The massive Imperial warship hung in Earth's orbit like a dark cloud. On its bridge, Commander Axis looked down at the blue planet with cold eyes. His species had conquered hundreds of worlds, and this one would be no different. The scans showed primitive technology, barely space-capable vessels, basic weapons, and no energy shields. "Begin the standard conquest protocol," he ordered. "Target their largest population centers first." The weapons officer pressed the firing controls. Bright purple beams cut through Earth's atmosphere, striking New York, London, and Beijing simultaneously. The Empire had done this countless times before. Usually, primitive species surrendered after the first strike. But humans were different. Admiral James Stone stood in the Pentagon's underground command center, watching the destruction on multiple screens. Unlike many military leaders who froze in panic, his mind was already racing with possibilities. "Get me every nuclear submarine we have, and contact Moscow, Beijing, and London. Tell them I have a plan," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. Within 1 hour, something unprecedented happened. For the first time in human history, every major nation agreed to a single military command. They had to. Survival was at stake. The Empire's ships continued their bombardment, but Stone noticed something important. "Look at their attack pattern," he told his staff. "They're predictable. They follow the same sequence every time." Stone's plan was simple but brilliant. As the alien ships moved to their next target, hundreds of nuclear missiles launched from submarines worldwide. The aliens, so confident in their superiority, hadn't even activated their shields. 3 Imperial destroyers exploded in Earth's orbit. Commander Axis watched in disbelief as his fleet's ships burst into flames. This had never happened before. Never in the Empire's history had a primitive species fought back so effectively. But humans were just getting started. "Sir," an Imperial officer called out. "The humans, they're not running. They're attacking." Stone had ordered every air force on Earth to launch whatever they had. Fighter jets, though primitive by Imperial standards, swarmed the alien ships in overwhelming numbers. The Empire's weapons were designed to hit large targets, not thousands of small, agile fighters. "Impossible," Axis muttered as another destroyer fell. "They're using projectile weapons. Simple missiles. This cannot be happening." In the command center, Stone allowed himself a small smile. "Send in the second wave," he ordered. The aliens didn't know it yet, but humans had already figured out how to track their ships' energy signatures. Every nuclear submarine, every military base, and every aircraft carrier knew exactly where to strike. The Empire's mighty fleet, which had conquered hundreds of worlds, found itself in chaos. Their rigid military doctrine had no answer for humanity's adaptability and determination. Commander Axis watched in horror as his ships fell one by one. "Full retreat," he finally ordered, his pride shattered. "Return to base immediately." As the Imperial ships fled Earth's orbit, Stone turned to his international team of officers. "They'll be back," he said. "And next time, they'll be ready for what we did today. So we need to be better. Get me every scientist, every engineer, every military mind we have. We're going to study every piece of alien technology we can salvage from their destroyed ships." In the following days, the world changed. Nations that had been enemies for centuries now worked together. Scientists from different countries shared their findings freely. The entire human race united with a single purpose: survival. In his flagship, now safely away from Earth, Commander Axis prepared his report to the Imperial High Command. His hand shook as he wrote, "Warning: Earth species demonstrates unprecedented military adaptation and resistance. Standard conquest protocols failed completely. Recommend immediate escalation to full military response. These humans, they're unlike anything we've ever encountered." Back on Earth, Admiral Stone stood in a hangar, looking at the wreckage of an alien fighter. Teams of scientists swarmed over it, already learning its secrets. He picked up a piece of alien metal and smiled. They thought we would run, he said quietly. They thought we would hide. But they don't understand humans yet. We don't run. We fight. And we learn. And we win. The first battle was over. But the war was just beginning. Dr. Robert Miller hadn't slept in 3 days. He stood in a vast underground lab, surrounded by pieces of alien technology. Teams of scientists from around the world worked day and night, trying to understand how these advanced machines worked. Time was running out. Everyone knew the Empire would return. Look at this, he said, pointing to a strange device from a crashed alien ship. Their shield technology doesn't block attacks. It moves them to another space entirely. His team had made more progress in 2 weeks than many thought possible in years. Humans were doing what they did best: learning, adapting, and improving. In space, the Empire was preparing its revenge. High Commander Drax watched as his fleet assembled, 5 times larger than the first attack force. These humans killed our ships, he told his officers. They will learn what happens when you resist the Empire. But the Empire had made a crucial mistake. They had given humans time to prepare. At the United Earth Defense Command, Admiral Stone studied the new weapons his scientists had created. They had taken alien technology and improved it in ways the Empire never imagined. Humans don't just copy, Dr. Miller had told him. We innovate. The Earth's first space defense fleet was ready. They had turned cargo ships into carriers, added shields to fighter jets, and created weapons that combined human and alien technology. It wasn't pretty, but it would work. Enemy fleet detected, the radar operator announced. They're bigger this time. Much bigger. Stone smiled. Good. That means they're scared. The Empire's fleet appeared above Earth, led by their most powerful ship, a dreadnought called the Imperial Fist. It was known across the galaxy as invincible. No species had ever damaged it, let alone destroyed it. Begin the attack, High Commander Drax ordered. Show these primitives the true power of the Empire. But this time, Earth was ready. As the Imperial ships opened fire, their shots hit shields, human-modified shields that worked better than the originals. Stone had studied how the Empire fought. They always followed the same patterns, used the same tactics. They hadn't faced a real challenge in centuries. Launch fighters, Stone ordered. The Empire watched in shock as Earth vessels appeared from hidden bases on the moon. These weren't the primitive aircraft they had faced before. These ships combined human ingenuity with alien technology. Dr. Miller's voice came over the radio. Admiral, remember, their shields can't handle rapid frequency changes. Stone nodded. All ships execute pattern delta. Earth's fighters attacked in waves, each one hitting the Imperial shields with a different energy frequency. The Empire had never seen this tactic. Their shield technology, unchanged for centuries, couldn't adapt fast enough. The mighty Imperial Fist, pride of the Empire's fleet, found itself vulnerable for the first time. Human ships swarmed around it like angry bees, each strike weakening its defenses in a new way. Impossible. Drax shouted as warnings flashed across his bridge. They can't have learned so much so quickly. But they had. The Imperial Fist's shields failed, and Earth's weapons tore through its hull. The massive ship, never defeated in battle, began to break apart. All ships retreat. Drax ordered, his voice shaking. Fall back immediately. As the Empire fled for the second time, cheers erupted in command centers across Earth. But Stone and Miller didn't celebrate. They were already studying data from the battle, looking for ways to improve. They'll be back, Stone said, and they'll be angry. Miller nodded, holding up a piece of recovered alien technology. Good. That means they'll bring more toys for us to study. In his damaged flagship, Drax prepared another report to Imperial High Command. Humans have mastered our technology in weeks. They don't just use it, they improve it. They think in ways we never considered. Request immediate reinforcements. These humans are not just dangerous. They're becoming stronger. On Earth, Humanity prepared for the next battle. They had learned an important lesson. Against human determination and creativity, even the most advanced alien empire could fall. In the Imperial Palace, Grand Emperor Vex was angry. Very angry. 2 fleets defeated by a primitive species was unacceptable. He looked at his military commanders with cold eyes. "Send everything," he ordered. "Every ship, every soldier. Crush these humans before other species learn from their example." The Empire had ruled for 10,000 years. They couldn't let one species ruin everything. Meanwhile, Intelligence Officer Mary Thompson walked through a captured alien ship, studying every detail. She had always been good at finding patterns, seeing things others missed. Now that skill might save humanity. "Look at this," she told Admiral Stone, pointing to the ship's computer. "Everything they do is based on strict rules. They don't adapt. They don't change." They'd been winning for so long, they'd forgotten how to think differently. Stone understood immediately. That's their weakness. They're predictable because they're afraid of change. On Earth's moon, humans had built their first real space base. Dr. Miller's team had created something new. Ships that combined the best of human and alien technology. They weren't pretty, but they were powerful. "We call it the Phoenix class," Miller explained to Stone, "because humanity will rise from the ashes stronger than ever." Then the warnings came. The Empire was coming back. But this time, they were bringing everything they had. Thompson rushed into the command center. "Sir, I found something in their data. The Empire's ships all used the same communication frequency. They've never needed to change it because no one ever survived long enough to use this information." Stone smiled. This was exactly what they needed. The Imperial fleet appeared 3 days later. It was massive. Thousands of ships darkening Earth's skies. Leading them was the Emperor's personal flagship, a ship bigger than any city on Earth. "Surrender now," the Emperor's message boomed across all frequencies, "or be destroyed." Stone looked at Thompson. "Ready?" She nodded, pressing buttons on her console. "Transmitting now." What happened next shocked the Empire. Their ships started firing on each other. Thompson had created a fake command signal, and the Empire's rigid system couldn't tell it was false. "Stop firing," the Emperor screamed. But in the chaos, many ships couldn't tell which orders were real. "Launch our ships," Stone ordered. "Hit them while they're confused." The new Phoenix-class ships flew into battle. They were smaller than Imperial ships, but faster and more adaptable. Human pilots flew in ways the Empire had never seen, using tactics that changed minute by minute. The Emperor watched in horror as his fleet fell into chaos. Some ships still fought each other, others tried to fight the humans, and some just tried to escape. "This is impossible," he muttered. "They're just primitives." A Phoenix-class ship flew straight at the Emperor's flagship. The Empire's guns couldn't hit it. It moved in ways their targeting computers couldn't predict. Then more ships joined it, each flying differently, each attacking in a new way. "My Emperor," his commander said, voice shaking. "We're losing. We must retreat." For the first time in Imperial history, the Emperor himself fled from battle. As his ship turned to escape, he received one last message from Earth. "Don't come back. Next time will be worse." In the aftermath, Stone and Thompson watched the Earth's new defense fleet return home. "They'll be back," Thompson said. "But now they're scared of us." Stone nodded. "Good. Fear might make them think twice. But if they come back..." He looked at the new ships, built by human hands, powered by human determination. "We'll be ready." In the Imperial Palace, the Emperor faced a hard truth. They hadn't just lost a battle. They had shown the galaxy that the Empire could be beaten. Already, reports were coming in of other species beginning to resist. All because they had made one simple mistake. They had underestimated humanity's greatest strength, the ability to adapt, to change, and to turn an enemy's power against them. The real war was just beginning, and humanity was ready to take the fight to the stars. Captain David Wells sat in his Phoenix-class ship, hidden behind an asteroid. His crew was silent, waiting. An Imperial supply fleet was about to pass through this system, and they wouldn't expect humans to be this far from Earth. "Remember," he told his crew, "we fight like pirates today, not soldiers." The Empire had taught humanity an important lesson. You don't need to be stronger if you're smarter. The Imperial ships appeared right on schedule. They always used the same routes, the same times. That made them easy targets. "Now," Wells ordered. His ship and 5 others jumped out from behind different asteroids. The Imperial ships tried to form their standard defense pattern, but Wells had studied their tactics. His ships attacked from angles the Empire never protected because no one had ever tried them before. "Their shields are weakest from below," he reminded his pilots. "Hit them there, then disappear before they can respond." The battle was over in minutes. The Imperial ships, built for big battles in open space, couldn't handle small, fast attackers that struck and vanished. Back on Earth, Admiral Stone read Wells' report with satisfaction. This was the 10th successful raid this month. The Empire was learning a hard lesson about human warfare. "Sir," Thompson called from her station. "More reports coming in. 3 more Imperial systems have fallen to rebellion. They're using our tactics." Stone smiled. Humanity wasn't just fighting the Empire. They were teaching others how to fight back. In his command ship, Wells prepared for another raid. His crew had painted their ships black and added special engines that left no heat trail. They called themselves Space Ghosts because they could appear and disappear without warning. "Imperial heavy cruiser detected," his sensor officer reported. "It's alone." This was new. The Empire never sent ships alone anymore. "It's a trap," Wells said, but he was smiling. "Good. Let's spring it." When the Imperial ambush fleet appeared, they found themselves fighting shadows. Wells' ships struck from impossible angles, used asteroids as shields, and turned the Empire's own tactics against them. "Status report," the Imperial commander demanded. We can't hit them, sir," his officer replied. "They're not fighting properly." That was humanity's secret weapon. The Empire had forgotten how to fight anything except proper battles. Humans remembered every dirty trick, every surprise tactic, every unconventional strategy they'd ever used against each other. Wells watched another Imperial ship explode. "My great-grandfather was a guerrilla fighter," he told his crew. "He taught his son that the smaller force can win if it's smarter. That son taught my father. My father taught me. Now we're teaching the galaxy." The Empire was learning painful lessons. Their ships were being attacked everywhere. Supply lines were cut. Communications were jammed. Small human ships appeared from nowhere, struck hard, and vanished. In the Imperial Palace, reports piled up. The Emperor read them with growing fear. "Humans spotted in Sector 7. Another supply fleet lost. They're teaching the rebels their tactics. We can't predict where they'll strike." Stone stood in Earth's new Space Command Center, looking at a map of the galaxy. Human ships were now attacking targets thousands of light years from Earth. Every strike taught them more about Imperial technology. Every victory made them stronger. "Message from Captain Wells," Thompson announced. "Another Imperial fleet destroyed. No human casualties." Stone nodded. Wells and pilots like him were changing the way space warfare worked. The Empire's mighty fleets were useless against an enemy they couldn't find or predict. "The Empire called us primitive," Stone said. "They thought that meant we were weak. They forgot that primitive means we remember how to fight with nothing but courage and cleverness. Now they're learning what happens when you give primitive humans advanced technology." Across the galaxy, the Empire's grip was weakening. And in the darkness between the stars, human ships waited, ready to strike again and again, teaching the galaxy that freedom was possible. The Empire had started this war, but humanity would finish it. The blue-skinned alien walked nervously into Earth's new embassy on his planet. His people, The traitors had served the Empire for 1,000 years. But now he carried a secret message. We want to learn to fight like humans. Admiral Stone read the message and smiled. It was the 15th such request this month. Tell them yes, he said. Send Captain Wells to teach them. Across the galaxy, something unprecedented was happening. Species that had been quiet slaves for centuries were now standing up, fighting back. And they were all using human tactics. In the Imperial Palace, the Emperor received disturbing news. His propaganda minister looked scared. The humans are spreading stories, the minister reported. Stories about freedom, about resistance. Even our own soldiers are listening. The Emperor slammed his fist down. Then make better stories. But the minister shook his head. We can't. The humans, they make their stories exciting. They talk about hope, about victory against impossible odds. Our people are starting to ask questions. On a distant imperial world, an alien child watched in wonder as human ships rescued slaves from an imperial labor camp. The humans didn't just fight. They helped others, taught them, gave them hope. Why do you help us? The locals asked. Because everyone deserves to be free, Wells answered. And together, we're stronger than the Empire. Intelligence Officer Thompson, now running Earth's alien communication network, received messages from across the galaxy. Humans taught us to fight. 3 more systems have broken free. The Empire can't stop us all. The Empire tried to respond. They sent their biggest fleets to crush the rebellions. But the rebels fought like humans now, striking from shadows, disappearing before the Empire could react, turning the Empire's strength against itself. An Imperial captain surrendered his ship to a human fleet. I don't want to fight you anymore, he told them. You're changing everything. The Empire, it's not invincible anymore. More Imperial soldiers started deserting. They had seen too many defeats, heard too many stories about human victories. Some even asked to join the human forces. In a secret meeting room on Earth, Stone met with representatives from 50 alien species. They were creating something new, an alliance of free worlds. Humans don't want to rule the galaxy, Stone told them. We want everyone to be free to rule themselves. The aliens were shocked. Every powerful species they had ever known wanted to control others, but humans were different. Meanwhile, Dr. Miller had made another discovery. The Empire's technology hasn't changed in centuries, he explained, but we're improving it every day. Soon our ships will be better than theirs. The Empire's response was desperate. They launched a massive propaganda campaign. Humans are destroying order. They'd bring chaos. But their own people weren't listening anymore. They had seen humans fight alongside former slaves, treating them as equals. They had watched human ships protect the weak from the strong. Thompson's intelligence network brought more news every day. Imperial worlds were declaring independence. Former enemies were becoming allies. The galaxy was changing. The Empire made a mistake, Stone told his staff. They thought crushing the human spirit would be easy. Instead, they showed the galaxy that resistance is possible. On thousands of worlds, aliens gathered in secret to tell stories about humans. They spoke of small ships defeating mighty fleets, of clever tactics defeating brute force, of a species that fought not just for themselves, but for everyone's freedom. The Emperor received a final report that made him tremble. We can no longer contain the human influence. Their ideas spread faster than our ships can travel. The galaxy is waking up. In Earth's command center, Stone looked at a map showing the Empire's shrinking territory. They thought they could break us, he said. Instead, we're breaking their empire. Not with superior weapons, but with something stronger, hope. The revolution that started on Earth was now spreading across the stars, unstoppable as a supernova. The Empire's days were numbered, and a new age of freedom was beginning. The Emperor stood in his war room, looking at a hologram of his shrinking empire. Half his worlds were gone. His fleet was in chaos. His soldiers were deserting. Then his chief scientist arrived with news. The ancient weapon is ready. Deep in Imperial space, they had built something terrible, a device that could make stars explode. The Empire had never dared use it before, but now they were desperate. Target Earth's sun, the Emperor commanded. Let's see how humans fight when their home burns. But the Empire had forgotten something important. Humans were everywhere now. On an Imperial space station, a maintenance worker who had joined the human cause overheard the weapon plans. The message reached Earth in hours. Admiral Stone called an emergency meeting. "They're planning to destroy our sun," he told his commanders. "We have one chance to stop them." Captain Wells volunteered for the mission. "My crew knows Imperial stations better than anyone. We can get in." Thompson's intelligence network provided the details. The weapon is powered by something called dark energy. One mistake in its use could destroy the user instead of the target. Dr. Miller studied the weapon data. "It's powerful but unstable. If we can hack their control systems, the mission would be the most dangerous yet." Wells and his crew would have to infiltrate the Empire's most secure facility. But humanity had learned a lot about Imperial security. It was always the same, never changing, never adapting. The Imperial scientists activated the weapon. Energy began building up, ready to strike Earth's sun. That's when Wells' ship appeared, flying an Imperial code that Thompson's team had stolen. Behind it came the largest human fleet ever assembled. "Impossible," the Imperial commander shouted. "How did they find us?" The answer was simple. Humans had planned for everything. They had spies everywhere, friends on every world. The Empire couldn't keep secrets anymore. The battle was fierce. Imperial ships fought desperately to protect the weapon. But humans weren't fighting alone anymore. Ships from 50 freed worlds joined the attack, each using tactics they had learned from Earth. Wells' ship slipped through the chaos. His crew had trained for weeks on a replica of the station. They knew every corner, every security measure. 6 minutes until weapon firing, the Imperial computer announced. Inside the station, Wells' team moved fast. Imperial soldiers tried to stop them, but humans had learned to fight in space stations. They used zero gravity like a weapon, coming from directions the Empire never guarded. 3 minutes until firing. Dr. Miller's voice came through their radios. "Remember, reverse the power flow. Their own energy will destroy them." Wells reached the control room. Imperial scientists tried to stop him, but they had never learned to fight hand-to-hand. Humans had been doing that for thousands of years. 1 minute until firing. Working quickly, Wells' team changed the weapon's targeting. The Empire had built it too well, made it too powerful. Now that power would turn against them. Weapon firing. The Emperor watched in horror as the massive energy beam struck his own capital world instead of Earth. The dark energy reaction spread, destroying the heart of his empire. "Full retreat," he ordered. But there was nowhere left to retreat to. The Empire's last great weapon had become its final defeat. In the aftermath, Stone received messages from across the galaxy. The Empire was collapsing everywhere. Without their capital, without their weapon, their power was broken. Wells returned to Earth a hero. "The Empire forgot the most important rule of war," he said. "Never use a weapon you don't fully understand." Stone looked out at the stars. "They had 10,000 years to learn and grow," he said. Instead, they stayed the same. That was their real weakness. The Empire had tried to destroy humanity's home. Instead, they had destroyed themselves, and in the ruins of their power, a new galaxy was being born, one where freedom and change were no longer feared. The final battle was over, but humanity's greatest challenge was just beginning, teaching a galaxy how to live in freedom. 1 year after the Empire's fall, Earth had changed. Massive spaceports rose from every continent. Ships from 100 worlds filled the skies. Humans and aliens walked together in the streets. Admiral Stone stood in the new Galactic Council chamber, built where the old United Nations once stood. Representatives from over 200 freed worlds sat together. something impossible under the Empire. "The war is truly over," he announced. "The last Imperial forces surrendered this morning." The chamber erupted in cheers. Species that had been enemies for centuries now celebrated together. This was humanity's greatest victory, not destroying the Empire, but building something better. Captain Wells, now teaching space combat at Earth's new defense academy, watched alien students practice human battle tactics. "Why do you teach us everything?" one alien asked. "Aren't you afraid we'll use it against you?" Wells smiled. That's what the Empire would think. But humans believe sharing knowledge makes everyone stronger. In her new role as Galactic Intelligence Director, Thompson worked to track down the last Imperial leaders. Most had surrendered, but some fled to distant worlds. Their own people were turning them in, tired of living in fear. "We found the Emperor," she told Stone. "He was hiding on a mining world. The miners recognized him from our broadcasts." The Emperor's capture was peaceful, another surprise to those who thought humans would seek revenge. Instead, he would face trial, with judges from all the species he had oppressed. Dr. Miller's research center had become the galaxy's greatest learning place. Aliens and humans worked together, combining their knowledge in new ways. The Empire had forbidden species from sharing technology. Now that sharing was creating wonders. "Look at this," Miller showed Stone. "We combined human creativity with alien engineering. This ship can travel twice as fast as anything the Empire built." But not everything was perfect. Some worlds struggled with their new freedom. Old conflicts between species threatened to spark new wars. That's when humanity proved itself again. Earth sent teachers, doctors, engineers, helping worlds rebuild without taking control. They remembered their own history, how hard it was to build a free society. "Freedom isn't easy," Stone told the Council. "We fought each other for centuries before we learned to work together. But we'll help everyone find their own path." The Empire's former capital world was transformed. Where the Emperor's palace once stood, the Galactic Library now reached to the sky. Inside, species from across the galaxy shared their stories, their history, their dreams. In schools across the freed worlds, children learned a new history. They heard about a small planet called Earth, whose people dared to fight back. They learned how humans turned the Empire's greatest weapon against itself. But most importantly, they learned why humans fought. Not for power, but for everyone's right to be free. An old Imperial admiral, now working with humans to reform the remaining Imperial worlds, finally understood. "We thought you were primitive because you were divided," he told Stone. "We didn't understand that your differences made you stronger. You knew how to adapt because you had to learn from each other." The galaxy was changing faster than ever. Trade routes opened between worlds that had never spoken to each other. New ideas spread at light speed. The Empire had created stability through control. Humans created peace through freedom. Stone stood at Earth's new space observatory, watching ships from 100 worlds come and go. "The Empire warned everyone to run from humans," he said. "They were right, but for the wrong reasons. They should have run not because we were dangerous, but because we would show their people a better way to live." In the end, humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their ships or their tactics. It was hope. Hope that showed the galaxy's people they could be free. The Empire had ruled through fear for 10,000 years. It took humans just 1 year to prove that courage was stronger than fear, that change was better than control, that freedom was worth fighting for. And somewhere in the galaxy, the next generation was growing up looking at the stars not with fear, but with dreams of what they could become.